Hey, power traders, welcome back to the Pursuit of Wealth for another daily market recap. Today is Monday, September 21st. It's the first day of fall. Hope everyone had an awesome day today. I had a couple of good trades to begin the day and noticed it was getting fairly choppy. So I just kind of sidelined, and I had one bad trade with SQQQ. So that was pretty much it for me for the end of the day. But once we did fill the gap on QQQ, I did take another short position. So I am swinging some SQQQ and some SPXS into this evening and expecting to see a little bit more downside. I would like to see a potential test of the 319. But before we jump into the charts, I do want to just bring up the schedule here. So first we'll talk about some news and events. So we had some news on NKLA. We saw that the NKLA founder stepped down due to these fraud allegations that were sent the company's way recently and the SEC probe. So that's never a good sign. We'll take a look at the stock here in a little bit, but last I checked, it was down about 20%. And then on the complete flip side of that, ROKU was up 20% almost at one point as they add NBC's Peacock service to streaming platforms. So huge gains after that news came out while the market gapped down. So as the title of the video suggests, we saw a huge gap down in SPY and a lot of other individual names. I think Apple hit a low of 103. So we'll take a look in that in just a second, but taking a look at some trade reviews. I did have some trades this morning. Let's bring it up here for you folks. So I did want to just bring up one trade. I did exit my SQQQ swing from Friday, as we knew that there was likely a daily head and shoulders setting up. And I called out on Friday, you can check the video from Friday out from that daily market recap, but I said that there was likely going to be a gap down on Monday. Expected we were going to go down, and that's exactly what we got. So I sold at the open, and I rebought it back for $28.20 and sold it a few minutes later for $28.81. And I actually took another SQQQ trade. It was definitely a day maker. And I had a bad trade on SQQQ. Let me just bring it up here for you. So I was looking at the QQQ chart, and we saw here that we had a head and shoulders. So I was expecting to see a break of this neckline here, and I got faked out. So we dipped below, and once we broke the high of the previous candle, that's whenever I exited for a small loss. And pretty much I took another SQQ position up here whenever we started to get almost oversold on QQQ on the 5-minute. And then I made a little bit of a profit there. And again, I got faked out another time. I was expecting more of a sell-off here whenever we were in a 5-minute downtrend, but once we exited, so I shorted here, I covered around here, and I entered again when we broke to new lows, and I got faked out. Was expecting to test 61 support, but we never did. And like I said, took another loss on SQQQ. So had a couple bad trades today. I had about 3 winners, 2 losers. So first time in a while that I had a couple of bad trades, but just wanted to share that with you folks. They're definitely starting to make things a lot harder and choppy in the market, especially going into the elections. I did buy some more Hexo today as well. I saw that it was down about 7%. I actually loaded up on some Canopy as well. Just like I said, just building some starter positions and looking to hold that for the long term. So taking a look, FNGD, I basically sold that at the open as well. Same with SQQQ and SPXS, and made some solid profit over those gap down opens from the weekend. So taking a look at the indices, so we'll take a look at SPY first. So SPY on the daily, we'll take a look at the daily chart. So you can see here we had that daily head and shoulders play out. We did have daily support at 319, which we didn't quite get to. I do see here that we're trying to fill the gap. So the low of Friday was 327.97, and the high of the day today was 327.13. So we're getting close to that. We did actually have prior resistance at 327 as well. So could potentially top out there. You can see the daily volume was a little less than Friday. So not that impressive, but zooming into the hourly, you can see here that we did change the hourly trend with a higher low and higher high into the end of the day. Lots of room here though for a higher low. So that's what I would be expecting once we top out here, is to see a potential, maybe an equilibrium to start tomorrow. So that's what we could be watching out for, is a potential higher low, lower high, and tightening range. But all going to depend on news and market sentiment going into this evening. And if we take a look at SPY as well on the daily, you can see here that we have a lower high every candle for the last 4 candles. So we'll have to see if that pattern breaks tomorrow. If the bulls can come out full steam ahead, break the high of today, that's going to be the most important level tomorrow, depending on where we open. So if we break the high of today on a gap up open, then we could potentially see a daily bounce underway. And then basically anything under 343 is a daily lower high, as we are in a daily downtrend. So we'll take a look at the shorter term time frames. So the 15-minute, you can see here we didn't form a 15-minute higher low into the end of the day. So I did swing some SPXS overnight, just because the fact that we don't have any support there all the way down to the 322 level, and 5-minute uptrend into the end of the day. Looks like it's basically just going flat into after hours. QQQ, one thing I wanted to highlight on QQQ as well is it could be a potential weekly head and shoulders. I think I actually drew it out. I did have a lot of lines on here, but you can see here we did have a potential left shoulder head. We could be forming the right shoulder here, which would top out around 269. So keeping an eye on that. And the neckline would be, so I'd like to see a potential test of this support down at the 251 level. And if we could do that, that would line up nicely with a target of SPY at 319, and then potentially get the weekly bounce for a lower high and potentially a trend change. But would like to see a test of that support level and then a lower high for a potential right shoulder, and then some follow through would be targeting. Let's see if we can draw that out. We would be targeting roughly 224, which is last support as well on the weekly. So again, obviously not set in stone or anything, but we'll monitor it, and it's definitely something that I'm watching out for, as there has been a lot of bearish patterns and indicators lately flashing in the markets. And Apple did lose the uptrend. I'll mention that in the individual ticker review, but we did see gold as well today. One thing I wanted to highlight, see that we had an ascending triangle on the 5-minute. So we were forming this ascending triangle. Generally those break bullish. So you can see here we were bouncing around and broke bull. We had a little bit of a fake out there, lost the 5-minute uptrend that had been lasting since the 1882 low, and basically just chopped around sideways into the rest of the day. So monitoring gold very closely as well. US oil got a solid bounce going, so that helped the market bulls, and the dollar started to pull back as well around that time, and that just added fuel to the bulls. But again, the tech sector, even on the daily, we didn't even hit the 20-period volume on that either, so not very impressive. Again, we're in a 4-hour or a 4-day lower high pattern, so we'll see how we open tomorrow on QQQ. But in my opinion, unless we see some market driving news, we're not really going to see much of a change over the next couple of days in just pure technical terms. So again, we'll check in. That's pretty much it all I wanted to cover for the indices. VIX, see we had a huge upper wick and a decent bounce. We were up, I think we were up double digits today. Yeah, almost 15%. And huge upper wick, definitely not a good sign. We could potentially start to see some lower volatility going into tomorrow, but gold definitely still in an hourly bounce. There is no hourly trend change on gold yet, so that's notable. And we could potentially find some resistance up here at the 1916 level, which would be EMA 12. So moving on, that's pretty much all I wanted to mention. All the other sectors were fairly muted today. Individual stocks, so we'll take a look at Apple. Apple was gapping down hard to the 103 level. I didn't actually buy that. I was looking to potentially get in at the 100 level, which I mentioned on my video from Friday. So if you watch that video, if you haven't seen it, subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified on any future updates, but essentially I was looking to buy it at around the $100 level, the $95 level, and the $90 level if we got there. Still don't think we're out of the woods yet, as we do have a gap in the chart down here at the 96 level. And also these previous all-time highs, which I mentioned a couple of times now, could act as support, which were previous resistance. So I'd like to load up ideally in this zone here, and didn't get the setup that I wanted today. So just staying picky. Didn't break the high of yesterday, and we've been in a daily lower high pattern now for 5 candles on Apple. So we'll see tomorrow if that finally breaks and which direction we see that break in. End of the day though, Apple did form an hourly uptrend. So it looks like the daily bounce could be underway. We'll want to break the high of yesterday to be confident, or high of today, tomorrow to be confident though. And you can see here, bulls super strong into the close with a 5-minute uptrend and a solid 5-minute support trend line here as well. So we'll want to be watching that support line into tomorrow, but everything looking good in terms of the bulls in the short term. We'll see how long they can keep this hourly bounce and potentially daily bounce underway. Taking a look at Tesla. Tesla closed up 1.64%. Again, 5-minute uptrend into the end of the day. Did it change the hourly? Yes, it did, just barely into the end of the day. That could also be forming an ascending triangle, which I didn't notice until now. We use the real body here of those candles. You can see could potentially be an ascending triangle into tomorrow, which I believe is battery day. So we'll keep a close eye on Tesla. We did have, see here, just 1 second, get a phone call. We did have NKLA on the list as well. So let's bring up NKLA. So you can see here, huge gap down open, hit a low of 24.05, closed at 27.58, still down 19%. So again, this is why I warned so many people with these names, these skeptical, speculative. I never had a good feeling when we saw that GM news. We ramped up 60, lost 50. Now how far down are we from the high here? 56%. That's ludicrous. We went up 65, then down 55 in a matter of a week. I guess 2 weeks. So just not a name that I was interested in. And once I knew that the SEC was looking into them, a lot of people said, well, you know, why would GM partner with them? You think that they would have done their due diligence and their homework and blah, blah, blah. But there's always things that can fall through the cracks. And basically anytime I see a risk of total loss, I'm not interested. I'd much rather play it safe, especially with my longs right now, and, you know, use blue chip companies like Apple. But like I said, at the end of the day, didn't form an hourly uptrend. So a little bit weaker than The rest of the names, 5-minute up, tried to form a 5-minute trend change. Never really got a convincing higher low and higher high though. We almost did here into the end, but looking like a double top. So wouldn't be surprised if we saw some more bearish follow through on that tomorrow. We'll take a look at ROKU real quick here as well. So ROKU finished up 17% on the day. So you can see here, huge bullish candle, set up over almost 20% there today. Could be a potential, I was going to say cup and handle, but not the greatest. We'll see how we open tomorrow. Currently pulling back a tiny, tiny bit into after hours. Did we change the hourly trend? No, we did not. So we didn't form any hourly higher low support on the way up. We did form a 5-minute uptrend, obviously, but that's pretty much, so we'll use the 5-minute higher lows as our guide going into tomorrow. So other than that, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. I'll wrap it up there. The market was fairly choppy. Also, just keep in mind that the dividend on SPY was on Friday, so you'll want to use SPXX for your confirmed trend changes and price levels. So market was super choppy today. We'll have to keep close eye on the futures tonight because, again, we're starting to get back into the swing of things. People are starting to get out of the summer. It's now the fall. They're starting to get out of their summer routine. So we're starting to see trading volumes pick up. We're starting to see the choppiness come back, and the market uncertainty is still very, very high. The market's very volatile, and we'll just have to keep checking back and make sure you have a plan. Don't get complacent. Make sure you have a stop loss, whether you're playing bullish or bearish, and just know that there will come a time where we see these slow grinds up and these huge flush down. It hasn't been, that wasn't really the case today. I did notice today that they did kind of stop that pattern when we saw the slow grind up. They tried to flush it down, and then we saw a 5-minute trend change into the end of the day on SPY, QQQ, Apple. And that was one thing that I noticed that they started to change in terms of today, and the trading that I noticed today was that, you know, we're starting to see a little bit of momentum shift, and we'll keep close eyes, like I said, keep our eyes peeled tomorrow to see if we get any flushes. But I'm starting to see some bear exhaustion. We saw, I think, about 5 or 6 touches on Apple at the 107.50 resistance, and it was starting to show signs of an ascending triangle as well, just like I showed on gold. So we'll have to keep an eye on the market going over into the evening. And if you want to check back later on tonight, we have a 7-day free trial. You can join us for a 7-day free trial. But I had a couple of member requests that I'll get to after this as well. So make sure you tune into tomorrow's daily update for another market recap, and I'll give you my view on the market and where I anticipate the market to be heading into the rest of the week. Other than that, take care. Hope you had an awesome day. Talk to you tomorrow.